Let's talk about what happens to the rest of the world after the cities of the future are built, because not everyone's going to want to move into a ring city. Not everyone's going to feel called to that kind of environment. And that's not a flaw in the vision. It's part of the beauty of it, because the system we're building doesn't centralize power. It decentralizes liberty. It doesn't erase the old world. It gives it the tools to thrive in a new one. Legacy towns, rural communities, off-grid homesteads. These places don't vanish. They adapt. They're offered the same infrastructure, the same tools, the same rights as everyone else, just implemented differently, locally, respectfully, voluntarily. So let's start with legacy towns. You know these places. Old Main Street, weather-worn buildings, power lines strung like cobwebs across the skyline, schools built a century ago, cities built for cars, not people. Some of them are vibrant, some are decaying, some are somewhere in between. During the 2030s, while the Third Reconstruction and New Deal 2.0 are being implemented, these places receive a wave of retrofitting. That decade of infrastructure build-out is the foundation for everything that comes later. The clean energy grids, water purification, fabrication hubs, automated logistics, vertical farms, and universal healthcare access that will one day make the ring cities possible are first deployed everywhere, legacy towns included. This isn't a side project, it's the groundwork. The ring cities are born from this same infrastructure, but legacy towns simply choose to stop advancing much further after the 2030s. Not out of neglect, but by preference. They preserve their identity, their pace, and their way of life, while still enjoying the material abundance made possible by the new systems. Instead of tearing down old homes, we upgrade their energy systems. Instead of demolishing downtowns, we 3D print new materials to strengthen and restore them. Instead of forcing people to adopt automated living all at once, we give them the tools to integrate it at their own pace. It's not about uniformity. It's about harmonizing legacy and liberation. And these towns become nodes, federated, self-managed, but linked to the broader system, meaning you could live in a tiny Wisconsin hamlet, raise your kids in the same neighborhood your parents grew up in, and still have access to free medical care, automated food production, fabrication, lifelong learning, and full digital participation in civic life. You don't have to be in the ring cities to be free. You just have to be connected. Now, let's talk about the people who say no thanks to most of it. The off-gridders, the wild spirits, the ones who've never wanted civilization close enough to hear the hum of it. In the old world, they were called survivalists, weirdos, hermits. But in this world, they're free people. They're choosing a different path. And we respect that, not by tolerating them, but by empowering them. If someone wants to go live on 3, 5, 10, 30 acres of raw land, they can. They can plug into the open source civic network and request a homestead pod, an autonomous self-sustaining unit that arrives in modular form. It unfolds, it links up, it runs off clean power, and it scales. These aren't off-grid shacks, they're micro-cities in miniature. Fabrication, water reclamation, vertical gardening, composting, shelter, all part of the base package. And the important part is that the purpose of this option is to make it possible to live truly disconnected from society if you want to, without having to accept the old risk of starvation, illness, or total isolation. You can opt out of the social web, refuse to participate in public life, and still have the material security of knowing you will not freeze, go hungry, or be without clean water. It's freedom in the most literal sense, sovereignty without dependence, autonomy without fear. Want more? You can customize it. Add a fabrication node, add a workshop, add a schoolroom if you're raising kids, add a music studio, a greenhouse, a meditation garden, whatever you want. The system's not just decentralized, it's scaled to the individual. So every person becomes a sovereign node in a cooperative network, interconnected by choice, interdependent by design. My own end goal after we hit post-scarcity is exactly this. A fully automated, self-sufficient homestead where I can live freely on about 10 acres, tending my own space, creating on my own terms, without anyone having the power to take it away. That's the kind of security we're talking about here. Not comfort granted by society's good graces, but freedom that exists by default. And what about connectivity? Same biometric integrated identity system, same encrypted civic interface, same universal access to resources, knowledge, communication, and culture. No addresses, no red tape, no bureaucracy. You're a citizen of humanity, not a subject of the state. And the part that really matters is that none of this happens by force. We're not dragging anyone into the future. We're building the future so beautifully, so justly, that it becomes impossible to ignore. The new cities don't demand obedience. They radiate possibility. They act as exemplars, invitations, living proof that another world isn't just possible, it's here. Legacy towns don't need to catch up. They evolve on their own terms. Off-grid folks don't need to be brought in. They already belong. There's no center anymore, just people and systems that serve them. That's the Enlightenment socialist approach. Not top-down control, but bottom-up liberation. Not rule, but reciprocity. Not conquest, but care. So as the state withers away, not through violence, but through obsolescence, what remains isn't chaos. What remains is freedom. The state doesn't need to enforce order when the system itself fulfills needs, prevents harm, and guarantees dignity by default. We're not building a hive. We're building a garden. Some people will plant their gardens inside the new cities. Others will cultivate the ones they already love. Others still will carve them into the wild earth, but they all bloom in the same sun. And that sun, that's liberty. That's the Enlightenment rekindled.